addition, he will sign 2 others on military readiness. Erin Elmore joins us now. She's, of course, campaign spokesperson for President Trump. Congratulations. By the way, got to let everyone know that's an Ivanka Trump dress you have on.
It is. I'm supporting the people here, right?
Great looking dress, by the way.
She knows what she's doing, that Ivanka Trump.
So President Trump hits the ground running. He puts out a lot of executive orders, a lot of it to counteract some of the negative things that happened over the last 8 years. He calls in the CEOs to put in a harsh white spotlight of the White House. The world sees it, the nation sees it, and the market reacts, and it seems like Main Street's reacting.
It certainly is. Look, Donald Trump made a promise to the American voters in his contract with the American voter, and that laid out his promises for the first 100 days. And guess what looks like it's happening? All of those promises are coming true with these 12 executive actions. So basically, he's a politician that's kept his word. Wow, isn't that
That's an oxymoron.
New and novel, and Donald Trump's the one that's really breaking the shifting the paradigm here. And, you know, whether it's TPP, whether it's Obamacare, he is doing all of the things that he promised to do. Of
course, he's meeting with his GOP counterparts to have this weekend retreat. And for me, I've always said that I think the biggest hurdle for Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. will be fellow Republicans.
Oh, absolutely. Because, you know, they're sort of holding all of their things, mine, and they are establishment. And the reason why Donald Trump got elected is partially because of the Republican Party. So I think they're a little afraid.
Yeah, I mean, there was a rebuke against the political elites on both sides of the aisle and their inability to get the job done.
Correct.
So now Wall Street's looking, America's looking for tax policy.
Right.
That's the next thing we want to kind of hear about. And now, yeah, we're starting to hear August and stuff like that. Everyone was saying, well, that should be in the first 100 days. I don't know that we need to necessarily nail it down for the first 100 days, but I think that's one of the critical areas that I hope he doesn't have a problem with his fellow Republicans on.
Right. I think that they do see eye to eye. At the end of the day, Donald Trump is a businessman and obviously cares about the tax code. But our tax code is a little bit of a disaster. It's been around for a very long time. He does need to tackle that. But I think, you know, border security, immigration, international policy, things like that are a little more important for the first 100 days.
Right. Erin, there's also this. We've got the March for Life taking place in Washington, D.C. The Trump administration is going to have a major presence there. We've got Vice President Mike Pence, the first vice president, the highest ranking of government official ever to attend the event, and I think Kellyanne Conway as well. What are your thoughts on this?
Look, every American has a right to peaceful protest. This is something that's been going on in Washington since 1974, and it's also the 44th anniversary of Roe v. Wade. So for this group of the population, it's something that's extremely important to them. A lot of these pro-life women feel that they were left out from the marches and protests last weekend. So I think that this is their right, and this is something that's very important to them and very impassioned to them, and they would just want to get their word out, and that's their legal right to do so.
Right, but you mentioned Roe v. Wade. I think a lot of people, obviously at the March for Life, but I think the consensus is that maybe public opinion, that pendulum is swinging. And next Thursday, President Trump's going to announce his Supreme Court pick, that maybe over the course of the first term, certainly a 2-term president, he'd have a chance to really balance the court in a way that maybe that could be relitigated somehow. Any thoughts on that? Because abortion, it was a social issue that wasn't talked about a lot in the last 8 years.
Well, because there were bigger fish to fry in America, truthfully, right?
Although some people think that's the #1 issue. I mean, the sanctity of life.
Certainly.
And I don't want to pin you down on where you come down on this, but the people, I think, who voted for Donald Trump overwhelmingly believe that that these kids should be allowed to be born, particularly if you're going to be born into the greatest country in the world.
I'm not perfectly sure where his voters fall in this because we don't have a traditional Republican voter base here. These are a whole new demographic of Republicans.
Well, he won a lot of evangelicals, an overwhelming amount of evangelicals, and just the idea that perhaps they have a friend, at least, in the White House who will listen to their concerns, and I think he is on the same page with respect to the right to life.
I think he wants to make it a states' rights issue, which is a bit of a punt, but allows him to still, you know, make all of his constituents happy. If he puts a nominee on the Supreme Court as a right to life individual, then we're going to see the landscape really change.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Again, that Ivanka Trump dress looking fantastic.
Thank you.
All right. A spokesperson and a spokesmodel.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
All right. Thanks a lot.
With their eyes on fire. Oh, Mexico. so bright.